Red dust of Umuofia village was everywhere. It got into the lines on Amara's hands and reminded her of everything she had lost. Amara was 22, but her eyes looked old with sadness. Her whole world was just this small, dusty place where her uncle was in charge. 5 years ago, her parents had died. They both got sick and died in the same week. Amara was left alone with her uncle, Emeka. At first, he acted sad and seemed like he would take care of her. But soon he showed his true, unkind self. Her days were full of hard work. She woke up early to get water, and it was heavy for her small body. Her aunt, Adana, was a mean woman. She would see Amara and say something cruel. "Why did you take so long at the well?" Adana would snap. "The fire won't light itself. Are you expecting me to do it, you lazy girl?" "No, auntie," Amara would say quietly, feeling smaller each time. Her uncle Emeka was like a ghost in the house, always angry and smelling of cheap alcohol. He was not the fun uncle she remembered from her childhood. This uncle was a stranger who sometimes hit her. He looked at her like she was a problem, just another mouth to feed. At night, Amara slept on a thin mat in the hot kitchen. Sometimes she would remember her parents. She remembered her mother singing while braiding her hair. She remembered her father laughing and lifting her up high. They had been so happy. Their death felt strange and too fast. A small part of her felt it wasn't a normal sickness. But who would believe an orphan girl? Her only comfort was her little cousin, Chidi. He was 4 years old and a happy little boy. He didn't see how mean his parents were to Amara. To him, she was just his big cousin who told him stories and shared her small amount of food. One evening, Amara was very hungry after working all day. She watched her aunt and uncle eat a big meal of pounded yam and a goosey soup. The smell made her feel even hungrier. When they were gone, she carefully scraped the last bits of food from the pot. But Adana came back into the kitchen. "Thief!" she yelled, "stealing food like a rat." Uncle Emeka came out, his eyes red with anger. He didn't ask what happened, he just grabbed a piece of firewood. He hit her hard on the back. She fell to the dirt floor and couldn't breathe. The bowl of food fell next to her. She didn't cry. Crying only made them meaner. As she lay there in pain, she thought about her parents and their love. "Mama, Papa," she thought into the dust. "Where are you? Why did you leave me here?" The question was a deep pain in her heart that never went away. The memory of her parents was the only good thing she had left. Kale was a strong young man who came from the city looking for work. For 3 months, he had worked hard on Uncle Emeka's farm. He was owed 3 months of pay, and that money was very important for his dreams. But Uncle Emeka never kept his promises. Every time Kale asked for his money, Emeka would say, "The harvest was bad," or "Come back next week." One hot afternoon, Kale was too angry to wait any longer. He walked from the fields to the house. Amara was sweeping the yard and saw the angry look on his face. She felt worried. She had seen him working quietly on the farm, and he was very different from her loud, cruel uncle. Kale stood in front of Emeka, who was sitting in a chair with a bottle of gin. "Sir," Kale said in a low voice, "I've worked for 3 months. I need my pay today." Emeka looked up at him with a mean smile. "I told you, I have no money." "That's a lie," Kale said. "I saw you get paid for the cassava yesterday." Emeka's eyes looked around, searching for a way to get what he wanted. He saw Amara. A slow, evil smile spread across his face. "You want your payment, boy?" he asked. "I want what you owe me," Kale said. Emeka pointed a shaky finger at Amara. "Then take her." The words were so awful that at first no one understood. The broom dropped from Amara's hands. She stared at her uncle, her heart frozen. This couldn't be happening. This was the man who was supposed to keep her safe. Kale looked from the mean uncle to the scared girl. He couldn't believe it. "Take who?" "My niece," Emeka said, like the word was poison. "She's useless. She eats my food and does nothing. Take her to the city. Make her your wife or your slave, I don't care. Then we'll be even." Amara couldn't breathe. Her uncle was treating her like a bag of rice to be traded. The man who took her home and family from her was now selling her. "Uncle, please," she begged, as one tear ran down her dusty cheek. "Don't do this." "Be quiet, you ungrateful girl," he shouted. "You should thank me for finding someone to take you." Adana came to the door with a happy look on her face. "It's for the best," she said. "She's been nothing but trouble." Amara fell to the ground, feeling ashamed. She was the daughter of a good man. How did her life get this bad? Cale looked at her shaking on the ground. He saw her pain. He looked past her dirty clothes and saw a strong spirit that had not been broken. He had seen how kind she was to her little cousin. He felt a strong need to protect her. He couldn't leave her with this monster. He turned back to Emeka. He had to make a quick and terrible choice. Emeka was getting impatient. "Well, are you taking her or not?" Cale looked at Amara. In that quiet moment, they made a silent promise. "I'll take her," he said. The deal was made. Amara stood up and walked like she was in a dream. She went to the kitchen and put her only things in a small plastic bag, 2 old wrappers and a faded shirt. There were no goodbyes. As she walked out of the house, she saw her little cousin Chidi watching her. He looked sad and confused and gave her a small wave. The sight hurt Amara more than anything. She turned away so he wouldn't see her tears. She followed Cale out of the gate and left the dusty village of Umuofia behind. She didn't look back. They rode a crowded bus to the city. The trip was long and quiet. Amara stared out the window as the fields and trees of her home disappeared. This was where her parents were buried. Leaving felt like losing them all over again. She was all alone with a man she didn't know. Was he saving her, or was this just a new kind of prison? She prayed silently, "Mama, Papa, please watch over me. Please let him be a good man." Cale sat next to her, feeling the weight of his choice. He could feel her fear. He had tried to help her, but what would he do now? He was responsible for her life, and it scared him. Soon the green countryside turned into the grey city. The city was loud, with tall buildings and crowds of people. Amara held her bag tightly, feeling lost and scared. They got off the bus at a busy station. Cale led her through the crowd and got them a tricycle taxi. They drove through the loud city streets. Finally, the tricycle turned onto a quiet street with lots of trees. Cale paid the driver and led her to a large metal gate. He knocked. The gate opened, and Amara saw a place she could not have imagined. The yard was beautiful, with a big green lawn and a large, clean white house. A stone path went through a garden full of colourful flowers. The sound of a water fountain was soft and peaceful. For Amara, who had only known dirt and sadness, it felt like a dream. Cale led her past the big house to a smaller, nice building in the back. It was simple but clean. He unlocked the door and let her go inside. "This is my place," he said, sounding a little nervous. She looked around the small, neat home. There was a living room, a small, clean kitchen, a bathroom, and 1 bedroom. To her, it was a palace. It had a door that locked and windows with glass. It was quiet and peaceful. "I started a new job a few days ago," Cale explained. "I'm a security guard here. The owner is a very kind woman. She lets me live here for free." Amara touched the smooth dining table. She looked in the bedroom and saw a real bed with a mattress and clean sheets. She felt a wave of emotion. After sleeping on a hard floor for years, a simple bed felt like the greatest gift. The fear from the day started to fade. Could it be true? Was she finally safe? A small smile appeared on her face. "If this is God's plan for me," she whispered, "then I accept it." Cale watched her. "Are you okay with this?" She turned to him, her eyes full of tears that hadn't fallen yet. She nodded. "Yes," she said. "I feel peace. I haven't felt peace in a long time." Peace. Here, in a stranger's home, she had found something she thought was gone forever. She had found a safe place. 2 days later, Amara woke up to morning light and the smell of frying plantain, not her aunt's yelling. She lay in bed thinking it was a dream. The heavy, scared feeling she always woke up with was gone. She went into the other room and saw Cale cooking. He was focused on turning the plantain. When he saw her, he gave her a warm smile. "Good morning, Amara," he said. "I made breakfast. I hope you slept well." "Good morning," she said softly. His kind words made her feel good. I did, very well. They ate breakfast together. He had made fried plantain and eggs. For Amara, who had eaten only scraps for 5 years, it felt like a feast. They ate quietly and a comfortable feeling grew between them. After breakfast, Cale said, "I want you to meet the owner of the house." Amara felt nervous. She looked down at her old clothes. "Okay," she said. "Just be yourself," he told her. "She is a good woman." She followed him to the big house. A kind-looking woman in her 50s opened the door. "Good morning, Ma," Cale said respectfully. "Good morning, Cale," the woman said in a warm voice. She looked at Amara with a soft smile. "And who is this lovely young woman?" Cale put a hand on Amara's shoulder. "Ma, this is Amara, my wife." The word wife made Amara feel safe and protected. The woman's smile grew wider. "So this is the wife you told me about," she said. "She is even more beautiful than you said. Welcome, my dear. I am Mrs. Anyauku." She took Amara's hand gently. "Please come inside. You are welcome here." That evening, Amara felt the weight of everything that had happened. She sat on the bed in their small home. "Cale," she said quietly. He looked up from his book. "Yes?" "I need to tell you something," she said. "The day my uncle gave me to you, I thought my life was over. I was afraid of you. I thought you would be mean like him and hurt me." Her voice shook, and a tear ran down her cheek. "But you have been so gentle. You gave me a bed. You cooked for me. You treated me with respect." She looked at him. "Thank you. You saved me. But I need you to know. I don't love you. Not yet. It's too soon. My heart is too broken." She said it honestly. She thought he would be angry. But he closed his book and sat next to her. He took her hand. "I know," he said in a very gentle voice, "and I am not asking you to love me. I am only asking you to trust me. Love can't grow when you're afraid. I will not touch you, Amara, not until you feel safe, not until you can come to me without any fear." He was giving her the gift of time and choice. He was not her owner. He was her protector. She started to cry with relief. He understood her pain, and he promised to help her heal. In that small, quiet room, a small seed of trust began to grow in her broken heart. The next few weeks were peaceful. The fear Amara had lived with for 5 years started to go away. She enjoyed cooking in the small kitchen. The smell of good food filled the house and chased away her bad memories. Mrs. Anyauku noticed how good and quiet Amara was. She often invited her to the main house for tea and talked with her in a kind way. One afternoon, Mrs. Anyauku made her an offer. "Amara," she said, "my cook is leaving. I have been very impressed with you, and your food is wonderful. I would be honored if you would take her job." Amara was shocked. A real job with a salary was more than she had ever hoped for. "Ma, I would be honored," she said, her heart full of joy. The job gave her a new purpose, and with that purpose, an old dream started to come back. One day she got the courage to tell Mrs. Anyauku about it. "Ma," she said, "I have a dream. Before my parents died, I wanted to go to university. I want to be a doctor." She thought Mrs. Anyauku would laugh at the idea. Instead, the woman's face lit up. "A doctor? My child, that is a wonderful dream. I am so proud of you. We must find a way to make it happen." Amara felt so happy. For the first time, her future felt bright. But then a problem appeared. David, Mrs. Anyauku's son, came home. He was handsome and acted like he owned the world. He came into the kitchen and looked at Amara in a way that made her uncomfortable. He started by giving her compliments, but they didn't feel sincere. He called her beautiful. She tried to be polite and distant, but he kept trying to talk to her. A few days later, he made her an offer. He trapped her in a corner of the kitchen. "Amara," he said with a fake smile, "you're wasting your time with a poor security guard. I can give you everything you want." He moved closer. "I will send you to the best university in London or America. You can be a doctor. I will buy you clothes and a car. All you have to do is be with me." He paused. "I can get my mother to fire Cale. He will be gone. Think about it, Amara. A real life. With me." He was offering her dream, but the price was to betray Cale, the only person who had been truly kind to her. He was asking her to be like her uncle, who only cared about things, not people. She thought of Cale's kindness and his promise to wait for her. She looked David in the eye, no longer afraid. "With all due respect, sir," she said in a strong, clear voice, "my life is not for sale." The talk with David left Amara feeling worried. She told Cale everything. He tried to make her feel better, but she could see he was worried too. Amara knew she had to do something. She decided to talk to Mrs. Anyauku. She hoped a mother would not approve of her son acting this way. The next morning she went to the big house. She found Mrs. Anyauku in the living room. "Ma, can I please talk to you?" Amara asked, her voice shaking a little. "Of course, Amara." "What's wrong?" Mrs. Anyauku asked. Amara told her everything David had said, the offer to send her to school, the promise of money, and the threat to fire Cale. She finished her story and waited for Mrs. Anyauku to be angry at her son. But Mrs. Anyauku was silent for a long time. She did not look shocked or angry. She looked like she was thinking. When she finally spoke, her words were a big shock. "Amara," she said slowly, "you are a smart and beautiful young woman. You deserve a good life." Amara felt a cold fear. "Ma?" "My son David can be impulsive," Mrs. Anyauku said, "but maybe he is right. This is a big chance for you, a chance to have the life you dream of. Maybe you should think about it." The room felt like it was spinning. The kind woman she trusted was telling her to betray her husband for a chance to go to school. It felt like everyone in the world was cruel, from her uncle's poor house to this rich one. A feeling of anger and self-respect grew inside her. She stood up, looking stronger than she felt. "With all due respect, Ma," she said, her voice clear and strong, "I am not that kind of woman." Mrs. Anyauku looked surprised. "I survived my uncle's horrible treatment," Amara said, her voice shaking with emotion. "I will not sell myself now. The life I dream of is one I will earn myself, with a man who respects me. Cale showed me kindness when my own family treated me like trash. I would rather live in one small room with him than in a palace with a man I don't respect. I will never betray my husband." Tears ran down her face, but they were tears of strength. "I'm sorry, Ma, but if this doesn't stop, we will leave. I will not work in a place where people think I can be bought." She turned and walked out of the room with her head held high. She had made her choice. She had chosen love. She had chosen herself. Amara walked back to her small home, feeling angry and disappointed. It seemed like the world was a dangerous place. She had stood up for herself, but now they would probably lose their home and her job. She opened the door and stopped. On the table was a huge pile of money. Her first thought was that David had left it there. "Cale," she called out, scared, "what is this? Where did this money come from?" He came out from the bedroom looking serious. "Amara, my love," he said gently. "Come, sit down." She walked toward the table carefully. "Cale, please tell me what's happening." He sat down across from her. "This money. It's everything I have saved," he said quietly. "For years I saved all my money, because I dreamed of opening my own electronics repair shop." He looked at her with love in his eyes. "But that was before I met you. After you stood up to Mrs. Anyauku and chose to be with me when they offered you the world, I realized my dream had changed. My dream is you now." He pushed the money toward her. "This is for you, Amara, for your school. Go to university, become a doctor. That is all I want now. I will be okay. I can always save more money." She stared at him. He was offering her his entire future, everything he had worked for. He was giving up his dream for hers. It was the kindest, most loving thing anyone had ever done for her. In a world that had only taken from her, this man was giving her everything. Tears filled her eyes. They were not sad or angry tears. They were tears of pure gratitude. "No," she whispered. "Amara, I mean it," he said. "So do I," she replied, her voice growing strong. She stood up. "No, Cale, absolutely not." He looked confused. "But why? I love you." "And I love you too," she said. It was the first time she had said it, and it felt right. "And because I love you, I will not let you give up your dream for mine. We are a team. Your dream is my dream." She pushed the money back to him. We will take this money and rent a small room. We will start your business together. I will help you, and when the business is doing well, then I will go to school. We will build our future together, as partners. Her eyes were bright with determination. I don't want a dream that is given to me. I want a life that we build with our own hands together. He looked at her with so much love and surprise, he stood up, walked around the table and hugged her tightly. The next morning there was a knock on the door. It was Mrs. Anyauku and David. They did not look proud like before. They looked sorry. Amara, my child, Mrs. Anyauku began, we have come to say we are sorry. How we acted was wrong. David looked at the floor. I was arrogant and disrespectful, he said. I saw how strong and beautiful you are, and I tried to own you instead of respecting you. Kale is a very lucky man. You are a good wife, a woman with strong character. Mrs. Anyauku nodded, her eyes wet with tears. He is right. You are a rare person, Amara. We treated you badly, and we are very sorry. She looked at both of them. We called you our wife before as a test, but now we say it with respect. You truly are our wife. The apology was so real that Amara's anger disappeared. I forgive you, she said quietly. That evening, Kale looked at Amara seriously. My love, he said, I have to tell you something. A lie I have told. He took a deep breath. Amara, I am sorry. I have not been honest with you. She felt a familiar fear. Mrs. Anyauku, she is not my boss. She is my mother, and David is my younger brother. Amara stared at him, completely shocked. The kind woman was his mother. The arrogant man was his brother. The security job, this small house. It was all a lie. Why? She whispered. Because I had to know, he said, his voice full of pain. My family is rich, Amara. And people have used me for my money many times. They pretended to love me for what I could give them, not for who I am. I was tired of being lied to. I had to know if a woman could love me, Kale the man, not Kale the rich heir. I took this job to find something real. He looked at her, hoping she would understand. It was a test, and it was wrong to lie to you. But you, Amara, you were the answer to my prayers. You loved me when you thought I had nothing. You chose me over all the things they offered you. You are the most real person I have ever met. She looked at his sad face. He wasn't playing a game, he was protecting his own broken heart. The lie hurt, but she understood why he did it. A small, playful smile came to her lips. I see, she said, so you lied to me. I forgive you. He looked very relieved. But, she added, shaking her finger at him, you owe me, for all this stress. I think a car and a mansion will be enough. He let out a loud, happy laugh. He pulled her into a hug. Done, my queen, he said, his voice full of love. Anything for you, always. The secrets were gone. The tests were over. Now they had a love that was strong and real, built on truth and respect, not money. News about Kale's real family and their wedding spread all the way back to the dusty village of Umuofia. As Amara expected, her uncle Emeka called. His voice was fake and overly sweet. My dear daughter, he cried, please forgive an old foolish man. I was wrong. I see now that God had a special plan for you. Amara listened without saying anything. Kale held her hand. Things are very hard here, her uncle said. Maybe your little cousin, Chidi's sister, could come live with you in the city. No, Amara said. Her voice was cold and hard. But, Uncle, she said, her voice quiet but dangerous, I forgive you. I do it for me, not for you, so I can let go of my anger. But you will never be in my life. You stole my childhood. You let your wife starve me. You sold me like an animal. She paused. You are the brother who let my father die and then took everything he had. Do not ever call me again. She hung up the phone. That part of her life was over. The years that followed were happy ones. Amara did very well in university. Kale built a successful business, but his greatest joy was supporting her. The day she graduated as a medical doctor, Kale cheered the loudest. He met her outside and spun her around in a hug. Dr. Amara, he yelled, my wife, my love, my pride. She laughed, her heart full. Thank you for believing in me. I couldn't have done this without you. He kept his playful promise and gave her a new car and a beautiful mansion for their home. But the best gift came a few weeks later. "Kale," she said one evening, placing his hand on her stomach, "I have some news." He looked at her confused. "I went for a test today," she said with a happy, teary smile. "I'm 3 months pregnant." He stared at her in shock, then a huge, happy smile spread across his face. He shouted with joy and carefully lifted her into his arms. "A baby," he whispered. "We're having a baby." He knelt down and put his ear against her stomach. "Hello, little one," he whispered. "This is your daddy. I love you so much already." Amara looked down at him, with happy tears running down her face. She thought about the scared girl who left Umuofia with nothing. She thought of her parents and knew they would be proud. From a sad childhood, she had built a new life and a new family, full of love. Her name, Amara, meant grace. And after so much pain, she was finally living a life full of it. A few months later, Amara gave birth to a healthy baby boy. They named him Ifeanyi, which means nothing is impossible. Their home was filled with love and happiness. Mrs. Anyauku was a proud grandmother, and even David, Kale's brother, enjoyed playing with his new nephew. Amara loved being a mother, but she had not forgotten her dream of being a doctor. She didn't want to work in a big hospital for rich people. She wanted to help those who didn't have much money. With Kale's help, she opened a small clinic for poor families in the city. She loved her work. It felt good to help sick children and their worried parents. Every person she helped reminded her of how lucky she was. One afternoon, a small, quiet boy came to the clinic. He was sick and scared, and he reminded Amara of her cousin, Chidi. She thought about Chidi and wondered how he was doing. She worried about the other children back in Umuofia who had no doctors to help them. That night, she talked to Kale. "My love," she said, "I am so happy. But my heart hurts when I think of my old village. I want to do something to help them." Kale took her hand. "Then we will," he said with a smile. "Your dream is my dream." A few years passed. Their son, Ifeanyi, was a happy, energetic boy, and Amara's clinic was very successful. One day, Amara, Kale, and Ifeanyi drove to Umuofia. They were not going back to fight or to show off their wealth. They were going back to help. They set up a free medical camp in the middle of the village. People were surprised to see Amara. They remembered her as the sad, poor orphan girl. Now she was a strong, confident doctor, and she was here to help them. Her uncle and aunt were old now. They looked tired and defeated. They watched her from far away, but were too ashamed to come closer. Amara felt no anger toward them, only a little sadness. She spent the whole day treating sick people. She helped children with fevers and old men with coughs. For the first time in that village, she felt peace. Later, she asked about her cousin, Chidi. She found him working on the farm. He was a teenager now, thin and quiet. He had dropped out of school because his parents needed him to work. Amara walked over to him. "Chidi," she said gently. He looked up, and his eyes widened in surprise. She saw that the happy little boy she remembered was still inside him. "I want to help you," she said. "Come live with us in the city. You can go back to school. We will take care of you." Tears of hope filled Chidi's eyes. He nodded, unable to speak. When they left Umuofia that evening, Amara felt completely free. She was not running away from her past anymore. She had faced it, and she had brought healing and hope with her. She had rescued her cousin, and in doing so, she had rescued the last broken piece of her own heart.